Hello and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I'm your host, Gabe Peterson, and this is the place investors go to gain actionable advice, learn about current market trends, and hear war stories from other professional investors out there in the field today. Before we get started, I have two quick housekeeping items for you. First, if you like this episode, we would very much appreciate a like, subscribe, and share. It is the best way to support the show and keep it running far into the future. Second, if you're a new investor looking to get started in real estate or an experienced investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you that will cover how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance those deals with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. On top of that, I throw in an insane amount of free bonuses that you'll have access to once you buy the ebook. All I charge is our admin costs to keep this show running. So if you're serious about real estate investing and want to create both active and passive income as an investor, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com and click on the button that says get the ebook in the upper right-hand corner to grab yourself a copy. With that said, let's dive right in. Today we have a very special guest with us, ready to drop some investor knowledge on you. So buckle up, grab your pen and paper, and enjoy the ride. All right. We're back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have Bill Gross with us. Bill is a broker associate with EXP Realty, specializing in probate and legal real estate. He's a certified probate expert and can be found at the Stanley Mosk courthouse daily to work with attorneys, petitioners, clients, investors, and other real estate professionals to help them solve their real estate problems. I'm super excited to have Bill here because we haven't talked probate yet. So Bill, thank you very much for showing up. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. I love it. And you're down there in sunny California.
Yeah, a mile from the ocean.
Same coast, same time zone. I love that because then we feel each other. I told you before we got on the show, we always start with stories. So why don't you take us to yours? How'd you get started in real estate?
You know, two parts of that story. One is when I was graduating college, my father was an attorney and he had some successful clients and some not so successful. I had the chance to go out and meet with 5 or 10 of his most successful clients, go out to lunch, learn about what they did, why they did it. And the one pattern I saw consistently, no matter what business they were in, their wealth was all created in real estate. If you're a manufacturer, it was the building and their house. And if it was an insurance broker, it was his office building and his house. And so I realized quickly, why play around? Why not go right to the real estate? And then my brother was a loan officer back in the day when Great Western Bank was a big lender, and kind of tricked me into being his partner. We went to lunch a couple times and playing along like I was his partner in the business, and it was fun. And I said, wow, this is great, more fun than the office work I had done for some big companies. So I started in real estate in 1986 and haven't looked back since.
Nice. I love it. 1986. That is the year I was born. So you've been practicing real estate for 34 years right now.
There you go.
I love it.
36. Don't cheat me those last two, man. They've been great. The last two have been my best ever. So don't cheat me on those two.
You said 36?
36, yeah, since the 86.
Oh man, am I getting my birthday right? I guess I am.
Yeah.
That's great. So I love hearing people who kind of grew up in, surrounded by real estate. I'm always jealous when I hear that kind of story because, if you had that from an early age, you really understood the importance of real estate, or not really the importance, but the efficacy in creating your own nest egg, your own wealth story. So you had that. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah. From the very beginning, I saw that, and that's been the goal. And to this day, I'm a real estate broker, and I list property and sell for investors and such, but I'm also looking for my own investments along the way. And I found the best way to find deals is being in the business every day and then picking up one or two that I like, for my own business.
Yep. And that seems to be kind of not a contentious issue, but something people talk about as investors. You can do it without a license, or you can get a license. And a lot of people have opinions one side or the other. I don't have any strong opinion whether you should get a brokered or a license or not. I don't have one, but it makes sense to get them. What kind of opinion do you have one way or the other?
I'm strongly in favor of getting it. I think that the only reason not to is I think you can cheat people if you have a license and not be held accountable. And I just rather not cheat people. I find I can make plenty of money by serving people, by being fair, being honest. The challenge is if I meet somebody as an agent, I have an obligation to them to represent their best interests.
Hmm.
And yet that's how I also make money, is helping them represent their best interests. So I don't find it to be a limitation. And I find some of the people who say it is, I just kind of question how they do business, because there's plenty of opportunity, more opportunity than I can work on. I work all day long, and then, I've got a bunch of hot leads on the desk. I'll put a couple in escrow, and I'll work on a couple more, on Monday. So
Gotcha.
I don't see it as a limitation. I feel like it's a superpower. As an agent, I have access to documents I don't have otherwise, information, super keys and boxes, and cooperation with a million realtors around the country. So I find it to be a great asset that I use. And as long as I hold myself to high standards, I don't see a problem with it.
Gotcha. Yep, I love it, and that is the recurring kind of theme that I hear from brokers themselves. Is just you have access to that information, you have access to the MLS, and that itself kind of helps out. But
I talk to investors every day, and I always ask them where they find the deals. I always ask that question, because this business is about finding deals. At least in my opinion, it's all about finding deals. So I always ask an investor, where do you find your deals? And they'll talk about the stray one or two, but when you really break down their business over the course of a year, the answer almost always 80% is on the MLS.
Hmm.
Now they look at it differently. They find different things. They look at properties that people passed on, whatever. But the origin is on the MLS. And so it just seems that that's the most powerful place to find the deals. And so I might as well be there as actively as I can.
That's interesting. I've heard the contrary of that. I've heard the majority of investors find their deals off the MLS, because that's where, usually the better deals are. But I mean, I guess whatever you choose to do, whatever method you choose, if you work it, that method is going to work for you. So I guess that's the lesson there.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to investors as well, and they love off market. They always ask me for off market. They talk about the off market deals, but when I really break down and get them behind the scenes, just still, I would say over 8% are in the MLS at one time or another.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm talking to people who don't know the numbers.
I think that's it, or don't think about off the top of their head. They'll say it's off market, and they'll find, and then when the last 10 deals you did, where'd they come from? And they go, oh, this is MLS. Oh, that was MLS. So it's just what came from a guy, but it was in the MLS, and the guy found it in the MLS and brought it to him. So it's the same thing. In my book.
Yeah, I'm on the commercial side, so I do mobile home and RV parks, and for sure, I do not. You don't want to find something on market in commercial. Once it hits the market, then it is not a deal. That is pretty guaranteed. But for residential, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But you're here. You have a specialty. I love it when people have specialties, because that means they're a wealth of wisdom, they're a wealth of knowledge, and also they have a specific thing that they're here to talk about, and you are here to talk about probate. Yep. Probate is, many people have heard about it. It is one of the most effective ways, I guess, to generate leads for a business. It's also one of the kind of the gray areas. A lot of people don't really know how to do it correctly, how to do it ethically. So glad you're here to talk about it. So why don't we just start, not everyone knows what probate is. Why don't you just start there? What is probate, and how does it fit in the real estate scheme?
Sure. So probate is really when your estate is being sued by the county, basically, to figure out how your life savings is divvied up amongst first creditors and taxes, and then to whoever you want to leave it to. It's really not where you want to be, ideally. You really want to have a living trust where your assets are protected, and then you can determine upon death, how things are distributed, or upon incapacitation, how they're distributed. If you don't have a living trust, then basically the state, via the county process, will take your assets and follow some rules. Now, you might have a will, and the state will look at the will and say, oh, this is how he wants it done. We'll follow the will as long as it's done right. Biggest misconception is they think a will avoids probate. It's the opposite. Wills are adjudicated or effectuated in probate court. And so what happens is, an advantage, I think, or the opportunity in probate is, the seller isn't just motivated, they're gone. So typically that asset was appropriate for somebody, and that person's not around anymore. And so a very high percentage of them need to transfer ownership one way or another. So we all look for motivated sellers. And by far, these sellers are always motivated because they didn't buy the asset to have it. They inherit it and don't really know what to do with it, or don't really want it. So there's different ways to approach it. Investors, I think the number one source seems to be pre-probate. There's data where you can buy people decedents, and then cross-reference to ownership of property. There's a data source that will do that for you. And then they'll cross-reference that for phone numbers or emails or addresses, and they'll mail or call or email as appropriate to market to those people. They'll add that in as a piece of a multi-prong attack. Maybe they'll have probate plus distressed property or probate plus tax sales or whatever. And then in my business, I really look in the MLS for probate properties, and I approach estates, I approach attorneys to represent them to list it. And then a percentage of properties are sold, and then the court has to confirm the sale. And that's where I've really become a specialist in bringing investors in. There's about 50 a month in Los Angeles County. Now, we're the largest county in the United States in this. Most counties is more rare. But there's certain sales that the court has to approve during a certain process. And so the agents tend to try to sell it quickly, usually double end it to their own customer. But now you can walk into court, if you're willing to pay more than that other party by at least 5% plus $500, you're willing to bring a cashier's check, you want to buy it, waiving contingencies, you can get a good deal sometimes. And so I represent investors that buy those properties about one or two times a month.
Interesting. Okay. So
That's a lot.
that is a lot of info. I was trying to take some notes here so we can kind of, deep dive into individual ones. I'm going to start with where you started. You were talking about, what probate is. It's when the county, you said sues. I didn't know that was the correct word to use, but essentially takes control of, someone who's deceased, their assets, and figures out how to distribute them. And you said that it is the most motivated type of client. And that makes a lot of sense because this person's passed away. And now people, I saw this back when I was doing single family, for probate. A lot of people, somebody passes away and they just don't want the property. Like it's, you don't think that as an investor, you always want properties, but these people don't want them. It's just another headache to them. And so that is why they're motivated. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
There are also think about when somebody passes, most commonly it's a process. And so as we get older, they're not like, I'm sure in your business as an investor in mobile homes, like you want to be on top of the mobile home rental rates and the lease rates and the management but as you get older, they kind of neglect that. They're making good enough money. So, 10 years go by and that property is somewhat behind the times. So now do you want to take over that property? And maybe rehabilitate it? That's a lot of work. You might do that as an investor building a portfolio, but as an heir, why not just take the money and put it in a more passive income type situation? And so usually these assets just aren't appropriate for the person who's going to inherit, let alone they don't want it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, it's just a headache having to take care of multiple properties. So, okay, so they're the most motivated. You said in order to find these deals, it sounded like skip tracing and email was a really effective way. Why email? That in my experience, email has been one of the least effective ways to generate leads. And so I'm just curious why does that work for this type of I guess asset, or not asset class, but lead?
Well, let me go back and say there's services you can buy that data from. So you don't necessarily have to yourself take it and cross-reference it or take it and skip trace. There are services that will sell you that data, and they've done the skip tracing, and you're paying them. Now, some people don't like the way they do it, and they do a better job on their own. Data is obviously part of our business and part of all of our marketing strategies. As far as email, I think it's certainly cheap to approach people via email. And so, if you have, like in my case, in LA, we have maybe 500 probate listings a month. And sure, it's ineffective. Maybe only 1 or 2% respond, but 2% of 500's, 10. So it's worth, throwing out that to get 10 responses, perhaps, if you're effective. And then lastly, I would say, email is part of social media marketing as well. And so I think more and more our real estate marketing is going to multi-channel. You can call, you can postcard, you can email, and then you can maybe retarget through Facebook or Google ads and try to get, right to the people you're trying to get to. So it depends on how sophisticated your marketing is. Gotcha.
That makes sense. So you also mentioned going to the courthouse, like actually to the court steps. And it sounds like doing a bid on this. This is something, obviously probate is something I do not have a lot of experience in. So one side, you generate leads by buying this list, and then you market to them. You email, you send direct mail, RVM, whatever it is, text marketing. you actually talk to the seller and see if they're interested in selling the property. This other way, you mentioned the court. How does it get to the courthouse steps? And in what case do you market to the person and actually get the lead? And then in what case are you actually buying it from the court?
So the courthouse steps normally refers to trustee sales or foreclosure sales. This is different.
Okay.
So I'm talking about actually going inside the court to the courtroom where the hearing on probate's occurring. So what I did for a couple of years, every day I went to court looking for particular types of hearings. And I would sit in court, number one, to learn the process. I'd see the attorneys, I'd see the judges, how petitions were handled, what rules they would accept, what rules they would bend or not bend. But occasionally I find a lead, like you see the true attorneys fighting over who gets to be the petitioner and, who gets to sell the property. And I would just I'd make notes and contact both attorneys and say, hey, I see the conflict there, but I can act as an intermediary and sell the property. And that way you can divvy up the money rather than the property. And fighting over who writes the check for the property taxes, insurance goes away, I'll handle that for you. So I'll go to hearings and see that. And then, as a real estate agent, you bump into people. I'm in the meet the people business. So I meet investors there. I meet petitioners to be executor administrator of the estate. I meet attorneys there. And so it was just a place to generate business. It was my lead generation was going to court and meeting people every day. And, how do you get hit by a car? You stand in traffic. So I stood in traffic at the largest probate court in America and made a great living at it until the court closed down. But it was more about, but it also, and I do think one of the things that I always emphasize when I talk to agents is it's not just about how to get the business, it's about how to learn to be an expert so people want to do business with you. And so one of the key things was watching those hearings. I became an expert. I've seen more court sales in LA County Court than any attorney, any agent, or any judge. Because a judge might see one a week. I would see 5 or 7 a week. And after 2 years, I'd seen more than anybody combined, probably 2 or 3 people. And I'd see things. People would say, well, you can't do this. Well, I've seen that done twice. I saw it done by this judge and by that judge. So that becomes valuable to unwinding problems on a probate case.
Awesome. I love it. And just outside of probate, I love that you said that, because being an expert at one specific strategy, one specific, transaction type, there's a lot that goes to that, because once you are the expert, everybody comes to you about it. You have the URL, the LA Probate Expert. So I'm sure everybody comes to you for probate cases. I love it.
Well, not everybody, but enough to, thank God. I do feel like in marketing, you want to have one thing that you're positioned for. We think that, that eliminates all these other things. And it's the opposite. People, when they realize I'm a probate expert, they assume they know I can sell their house. I sell 30 a year. Of course, I can sell yours. That's easy. You don't have 2 attorneys fighting. You don't have this or that. Yeah, I can sell your house. That's a lot easier than what I do on a normal basis. So I think that having that expertise gives you a chance to talk to more people. I go to real estate network events. I feel like the prettiest girl at the prom, and everybody wants to go home with me because they want to learn about probate. And the truth is, it is important. It's something to learn about, and I do feel like I'm valuable enough to help people. But part of just the marketing of getting people to talk to you, and that's what marketing is really about.
Yep, I love it. All right, I just took a peek at the clock. We have gone through our allotted time, so I got to push us into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Starts with books. I am a big bookie. I've amended it actually since I first started asking this question. Usually I say, what are the 2 books recommendations that you could give? One for real estate, one for general life wisdom. But I'm going to say any type of media that you consume, be it podcasts, YouTube, whatever. What are your 2 recommendations? One for general life wisdom and one for real estate specific. Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
I think the same one, 10X by Grant Cardone, is the latest book that made more of a textbook for me to read from. I think just a mentality that whatever problem you're having, just overwhelm it and try to be 10 times better, and you'll find some way to improve things. So I would say that's, my most current one. And if I can cheat a little bit and say within the probate field, I would say buy your state probate code and read it. It's amazing to me how many people are in a business and think they're an expert at something. And the books online at Amazon, it's not that complicated. It's all in English, and it's amazing things I've learned. I've probably made $10,000 or $15,000 in commissions that other agents wouldn't have even asked for because I knew the probate code rules. Brought the book to the hearing, showed the judge, and they agreed with me. So I would say, whatever business you're in, get the actual textbook on it and learn the rules.
I love it. All right. How about actually you did it 10X from Grant Cardone. That is a great recommendation. I've read like half of it, and then I can't remember what happened, but I haven't finished it, but I do remember I really like the ideas. So great recommendation.
And there's an audio version of it on YouTube you can get for free as well. There's in his voice. So I like YouTube audiobooks as a way to kind of listen to things while I'm doing my work.
I actually didn't know there were audiobooks on YouTube. That's pretty cool.
There you go.
All right. Next question. This one is habits. Habits are the foundation of our life. So if you could point to one thing that you do day in and day out that you feel contributes the most to your overall health, well-being, and happiness, what would that be?
I swim on an adult swim team, and I reoriented my business day. I was going to work 4 days a week instead of 5, but instead I cut out midday, which is a little decadent, 11:30, swim 12 to 1 with the swim team. I'm in Southern California, so the weather's almost always good at noon. And so I swim every day, and that gives me the energy. It clears my mentality, helps me be emotionally ready to go, physically ready to go. So for me, it's swimming and taking the time and making that my business day is structured around that every day, 5 days a week, and then on Sunday as well.
Yep. I love it, man. I'm going to second that one. Exercise is the number one thing for me too. Yeah. And I've been, playing around with the times that I exercise. Sometimes I do like 6 a.m. Sometimes I do, I was doing noon and 3, and I really like the noon time because it's like, I get my work done in the morning, and then I can kind of have a break, and I, get there and I clear my mind, get some exercise in. So I'm with you there.
I used to swim at 5:30 before they started because I get it in every day, but it was like drudgery. But you go at noon, it's just so pleasant for the most part here in Southern California. So
yeah, everybody's about getting those 5:30 a.m. workouts. I did it for a while, but it's just like it just kind of sucked. I like the noon ones better. Yeah. All right, moving on. This one is best habit. All right, so your younger self. So if you could go back to the Bill who had no experience in real estate, go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Richest Man in Babylon, read it, live it from the very beginning. I think that living within your means and putting excess money into work for you over time, if you start when you're 20 or 30, you're going to be wealthy. There's no way around that fact. And then really protecting that money from a young age. I thought I made a lot of money when I was young and lost it all because I was aggressive, and you think you're going to live forever. But I do think the Rich Man in Babylon makes clear the kind of the pattern that we're supposed to live on less than we make and find some way to make that work.
Yep. That's funny. I literally just finished that book. I did a due diligence trip down to Texas, and on the flight I read it. Small book, but it was good. It's like dumb, simple advice. It's just save 10%, and then invest it with people who aren't, who know what they're doing. And it makes sense, but it is tried and true advice. So great recommendation. And that leads us to the second last question. Oh man, I lost my place. I do this every time because I have 3 screens, and the one on the left is where all the questions are, and I look and then I lose my place. You've given us a lot of great advice, so I'm sure people out there want to reach out, say hi. What is the best way for them to do that?
So my website is the laprobateexpert.com, LA for Los Angeles, probateexpert.com. And then if you want to see weekly, I do a program on probate called Probate Weekly. You can find it at probateweekly.com. I host it live on YouTube, on Zoom. We stream it to YouTube and Facebook, and also the past episodes are all on YouTube as well.
All right. So that is the laprobateexpert.com. I will put that in the show notes. So if you guys want to reach out to Bill, say hi, learn a little bit about probate, check that out. Click on the little more in the description. It'll pop down the full description, and there you can find his URL. Other than that, Bill, thank you very much for hopping on the show today.
Okay. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. And for everybody who's here with me today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason that we do this. So if you have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Other than that, hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on, and we're able to pull some actionable advice that you can apply in your own investing today in the field. Before you go, we have a gift for you. If you're a new investor looking to get started or an established investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you, available on our website. This ebook will cover how I was able to create both active and passive income in real estate with very little money to start with. In it, I will address the 3 most often cited obstacles new and veteran investors run into by showing you how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance a deal with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. And if you get the ebook today, I am throwing in a bundle of bonuses, 7 of them to be exact. The first one will be the off-market lead generation blueprint, which will take you through the exact systems and processes we use to generate off-market leads like clockwork, which is the most important skill when it comes to creating wealth in real estate. The second bonus is the A to Z REI systems and vendors guide, which will allow you to peek under the hood of our business and see the exact tools, systems, and even the vendors we use to see the success that we do. And the third bonus is the top 100 best performing keywords pack, which will give you the exact keywords we use to target motivated sellers online using PPC ads. The fourth bonus is our contracts bundle for wholesaling and renting real estate, which will give you access to all the contracts we use in the field to execute all different types of transactions. After that is the Investors Quick Analysis Calculator and Offer Tool, which will allow you to quickly calculate whether a deal is an actual deal and will allow you to create an offer automagically from those calculations. This is a lot of bonuses that I said. I'm just going to keep going down the list. Number 6 is the Investors Daily Success Tracker, which is a tracker you can use to ensure you are taking the right actions day in and day out to reach your financial goals in real estate. And the last bonus is the Wholesalers Template for Quick Assignment Cash, which will give you the templates we use to present our wholesale deals professionally and efficiently to our buyers. Whew, that is a bundle. So it's a mouthful. You get all of those bonuses for free when you download the ebook. All we charge is the admin cost to run the show. So if you're interested in the ebook and the bonus bundle, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Click on Get the ebook bundle at the top of the page to take advantage of that deal. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day, an even better week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.